Facts about green-eyed people. Green eyes are actually the rarest eye color you can possibly have, with only 2% of the world having green eyes. People often associate personality traits with different eye colors, and the most common personality traits associated with green eyes is being mysterious and being a good leader. Scientists think that green eyes originated in either Brazil, Spain, Iran, or Pakistan. Facts about people with brown eyes. Now, the way your eyes get color is the amount of melanin in your eyes. The more melanin you have in your eyes, the darker your eyes will be. That means if you have a lot of melanin in your iris, your eyes are going to be dark brown. If you just have a medium amount, they're probably going to be hazel or light brown. There's also a lot of health benefits that come with brown eyes. There's a lower chance of developing type 1 diabetes, and you have a lot less vision problems when you get older. And people often associate trustworthiness with having brown eyes. Facts about girls that every guy needs to know. Most of the time, girls don't wear makeup to try to impress guys. They're even probably going to wear makeup to impress their girlfriends before they try to impress a guy. But most of all, they're probably going to be wearing makeup to make themselves feel better about themselves, not to impress anyone else. If they come to you with a problem, don't try to fix it, just listen to what they have to say. If they're complaining to you about something, it's not because they don't know how to fix it. They just want someone to vent to. And yes, girls love being showed off. They like when you talk about them, and they like when they post you, because it lets them know that you're not embarrassed of them, and it makes them feel better. Facts that'll make your day. Trees can make friends and talk to each other. They communicate through their root systems, and they talk about environmental changes and sharing sunlight. Okay, sea otters are already cute, but did you know that when they sleep, they hold hands so that they don't drift away from each other? The oldest your mom joke dates back to 3,500 years ago on a Babylonian tablet that they found in Iraq. Psychology tricks to get your crush to like you back. Hang out in groups. This causes something called the cheerleader effect, where people are viewed more attractive when they're in groups. This is because the scale we use to actually rate people's attractiveness is skewed when they're in groups. So instead of comparing you to Zac Efron, they're going to compare you to everyone else in that group. Try to buy them a coffee or something. Believe it or not, people associate the temperature with the personality of the person that they're with. They actually did a study on this, and they found that people holding coffee were viewed as more warm and more kind, and people holding cold drinks were viewed as the opposite. So skip out on the ice cream date. And just be funny. Now, you don't have to be a comedian. All you have to do is simply tell a funny story. It makes you more memorable, and people associate a sense of humor with attraction. Did you know that the way you have your homepage set up actually reflects the person you are? This is what your home screen says about your personality. First of all, we have people who put all of their apps in folders. Now, these people are usually highly structured. You probably aren't the person who walks in your house and just throws your keys in your bag on the bed. They probably have a certain spot, along with everything else you own. And next up, we have the people who organize their apps by what their function is or the color. Now, I'm one of these people. I have all my apps organized by the color. Now, these people want to be highly organized. And you may have your homepage so organized because you don't have a lot of control over the organization that goes on in your own personal life. These people are pretty typically outgoing and highly creative. Then there are the people with no organization at all. Whenever they download an app, they just leave it in the slot that it downloaded in and don't move it at all. Ever. These are the type of people who usually don't mind a mess, and they probably have over 10,000 emails. These also happen to be the most social people on this list. They're usually very flexible people and can go with the flow, and they're also very creative as well. Facts that you probably didn't know. You can't hold your nose and hum at the same time. Bananas actually can't reproduce. It's actually a hybrid of two different plants, and it has no seeds and is only still planted today because of the help of farmers. You know, some animals are poisonous for defense. Some plants have evolved to be spicy for defense. And somehow humans ended up evolving to like spice. So that didn't work out very well for them. Psychology fact that'll explain a lot. Does it ever feel like food tastes better when someone else makes it? Well, it seems like that because it does. A study published in the journal Science actually found that when you make yourself a meal, you've been around it so long that your excitement level goes through the floor, subsequently making the meal less enjoyable when you actually go to eat it. Doesn't being lazy feel great? It's because it's supposed to. From an evolutionary standpoint, conserving energy is a really good thing back when we had to go fight and hunt for food. But unfortunately, that still holds today. A small study even found that when volunteers are walking on a treadmill, they'd change all the settings so that they burn fewer calories. And do you ever hear that one song that takes you back in time and makes you feel amazing? Well, that's because when we listen to music, it gives that feel-good chemical dopamine. And that's even stronger from music when we were younger because our brains were still developing. From ages 12 to 22, everything is more important, so mentally we hang on to those years. And researchers uncovered evidence that actually shows that music from our teenage years are binded so much more tightly than any music we'll ever hear in our adult lives. Dream facts. Some people have actually had dreams about events that occurred in their future. These are called premonition dreams. Abraham Lincoln dreamed of his assassination, a lot of 9/11 victims actually had dreams beforehand warning them of the catastrophe. Mark Twain dreamed of his brother's death, and there have been 19 verified dreams about what happened with the Titanic. Not only that, but people have invented things in their dreams. Some things invented in dreams are Google, the periodic table, and double helix DNA, as well as the sewing machine, and that's not even a fraction of inventions from dreams. Dream facts that you probably didn't know. You can't walk in your dreams. Your brain actually has a tough time recreating the physical sensation of your feet touching the ground. So in your dreams, if you look down, you're always going to either be floating or flying. The same thing goes for hands and faces. Oftentimes in your dreams, you'll be missing a finger, or facial features will be rearranged on people in your dream. And if you get really good at picking up these cues, you can figure out when you're dreaming and start teaching yourself to control everything in your dream. Meaning you can do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, as long as you're asleep. You know, you can actually tell a lot about a person without even talking to them. For example, the way they eat. For example, I know usually people who are confident eat slower, and people who eat fast are usually more goal-oriented and ambitious. And your more adventurous eaters who like exotic meats and stuff are more likely risk takers. Those are the type of people who will be willing to jump out of an airplane. While on the flip side, picky eaters tend to be a lot more anxious and more neurotic. And you know those people who have a plate full of food, but they take down one thing at a time? I know those people are more careful and more detail-oriented. Follow for more. Facts about people with dimples. If you didn't know, they're genetic and they can actually skip generations. And if you have them, you're pretty lucky because only 20% of the USA has dimples. And you're super special if you only have one dimple on your face. It's so rare that we don't even have an estimate about how many people in the world have one dimple. And the survey concluded they're one of the most attractive features you can have. Facts about people with brown hair. Now, only 20% of the world's population has brown hair. And not only is it sort of rare, but you're a lot less likely to develop skin problems later in life because of the amount of melanin that's in your hair. And a dating site happened to do a survey about hair color. And they found that brunette hair is actually associated with loyalty, intelligence, and humor. And if you have brown hair, you're a lot more likely to get addicted to nicotine. And again, this is because of the high amounts of melanin in your hair. It makes it more difficult for your liver to metabolize the nicotine, making it stay in your system longer, making it easier for you to get addicted. Don't vape, kids. Facts about people with blonde hair. Now you blondes actually have one of the rarest colors in the world because only 2% of the world's population is naturally born with blonde hair. Blonde people also have more hair. Now the average person has 120,000 hair follicles on the top of their head. But people with blonde hair have more because their hair is more thin, allowing more room for more hair follicles. Also, there have been multiple studies that have found that men find blonde hair the most attractive out of all hair colors. But in the Scandinavian Journal of Psychology, they found that men also viewed them as more jealous, crazy, and high maintenance. So... Did you know that even your smallest habits can tell me a lot about the person you are? For example, if you compulsively bite your nails or tug at your hair, you lean more towards perfectionism. You actually do these to try to comfort yourself from discomfort and dissatisfaction. I can even tell you the type of person you are just by the way your toilet paper is set up. Research has found if it's overhand like this, you're more dominant. And if it's underhand like this, or the wrong way, then you're more submissive. Even by the way you walk. People who walk really fast are usually really good problem solvers and are really productive. But you could also come off as really cold and really competitive sometimes. If you walk with your chest out and your head up and your shoulders back, you're usually really confident, and a lot of celebrities and politicians walk like this. People just view you as a more fun person. And lastly, if you walk looking down with your eyes glued to the cement in front of you, you're really introverted. You're more of a shy person, but you're really talkative with your close friends.
Want to know how to tell if someone has a crush on you? There are a lot of subtle signs in someone's body language and how they talk to you, and once you know what to look for, they're like dead giveaways. Whenever you interact with someone over the phone, pay attention to how they text you. Do they always respond, or do they leave you on read? Are you able to have long, lengthy conversations about what the fuck ever, or do they just give short-ass answers? Do they text you throughout the day whenever they're thinking about you, or only at night when they're bored? I know right now we're doing this 6 feet apart thing, but normally we have about a 3-foot space around us that people will stay out of. But if someone's really interested in you, they're subconsciously going to want to be closer and then move inside of that space. Take note of that. This person has probably told their friends that they have a crush on you, so if you're ever hanging out with somebody and you notice that their friends are kind of embarrassing them and messing around, they're just being weird around you and them, they probably have a crush on you. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, but honestly, if you're asking yourself if somebody likes you, you probably already know it deep down in your gut. You either have that vibe that somebody likes you or you don't. Weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. There are small traces of gold in your toenails. We mostly breathe out of one nostril at a time, and the dominant nostril switches every hour or so. Men, you can't flex your dicks without squeezing your butthole. Follow my Twitter, you motherfuckers. I'm funny. People with schizophrenia often can't distinguish between a male and a female based on their voice alone. Some people have foot fetishes, and this is because the pleasure part of your brain is so close to the part of your brain that controls your feet. This is also why your toes curl. You can't be born blind and schizophrenic. Did you know that your birth month actually has a huge effect on who you are as a person and the things that could possibly happen to you? Like, a ton of research has gone into this. People born in January. Hi, you are statistically more likely to have Alzheimer's, Crohn's disease, and epilepsy. We're taking a huge turn with this one, but people born in February, you are more likely to become an artist. People born in March are way more likely to have asthma, and I can actually speak to this one because my little sister, the only one born in March, has asthma. Where are my fellow April babies at? Okay, we are way more likely to become alcoholics than everybody else. So your birth month actually has a huge effect on who you become as a person and the things that could possibly happen to you, and this is part 3 of what that means. September babies tend to be the highest achievers in school, but this is only because they're the oldest in their class. October babies. You're more likely gonna live the longest out of everybody here. There are more serial killers born in November than any other month, which is absolutely terrifying because there's a ton of kids born in November because Valentine's Day was only 9 months ago. Kids born in December probably want something really cool, like June CEOs or maybe November serial killers, but you're more than likely just gonna be a left-handed dentist, so make sure you floss. Psychology tricks to fuck with someone's mind that I may or may not use. You'll never know. When you meet somebody for the first time, be like, oh my god, I had a dream about you, and then go into a weird amount of detail. If you're ever driving with some passengers in a really, really depressing voice, be like, do you ever get sad? And then slowly start to veer off the road. Change up the normal autopilot conversations we have. Hi, how you doing? Good. Really? You'll be amazed about how quickly this just kind of like stops somebody in their tracks, and sometimes you'll even get somebody that'll actually tell you how they're doing, and it's pretty refreshing. So I'm kind of getting close to 300,000 on YouTube, so if you haven't checked me out already, go do that. And like, it'd kind of be cool to get to 420,000 for April 2020. Please, for my birthday. Did you know that your birth order actually has a huge effect on your personality and who you become as a person? Oldest children. We got a lot of attention from our parents early on just because there weren't other kids around yet to take that away from us. With that came a lot of one-on-one teaching, which means that we tend to have higher IQs, we can feel very self-confident, and we're more likely to grow up and become leaders. This can kind of come off as bossy and controlling though. And once our other siblings do come around, there's a ton of responsibility and high standards just placed onto us. And we're the guinea pigs for our parents, so like we get in trouble for everything. And I can guarantee that every oldest child has heard, well, you're a role model. Your little siblings look up to you. Just be the bigger person. Did you know that your birth order actually has a huge effect on your personality and who you're probably going to become as a person? Only children, you lonely fucks. You are the first and last child your parents will ever have, so you have this weird combination of being the oldest sibling and the youngest sibling. So while you might be like an overachiever with high expectations, you kind of get babied a bit by your parents. Only children are also known to just be a little bit more sensitive than everybody else, and that's just because you didn't have siblings to like stab you with a fork or fart in your mouth. You might have been described as really, really mature for your age, and that's just because like your only interactions are with other adults, which makes having relationships with kids your own age a little bit more difficult to have. But when you do get those friendships, they're just like having siblings. Every only child has probably heard the stereotype that you're selfish or you're spoiled, and I mean, every only child that I've met has been selfish or spoiled. You're probably cool though. You guys better know this by now because I've made 3 other videos talking about it, but your birth order actually has a huge effect on your personality and just who you are as a person. Middle children, you didn't think I'd forget about you, did you? No, I'm not like everybody else. You guys tend to feel undervalued and overlooked, and because of this, you are way more creative than anybody else in your family just because you had to entertain yourself. And for a while, your parents probably put you in the same activities or sports as your older siblings, even if you didn't enjoy those things. And because of that, middle children have reported that it's a lot harder to find their own identity and be their own person. And then your younger sibling came along and suddenly you weren't the baby anymore and you're not getting things your way, but because of this, you became a great negotiator and you're probably the peacemaker of the family. If you have a daily routine, your dog can actually tell what time you're coming home based on how much of your scent is left lingering around the house. Dogs don't feel guilt. If they tear up your couch or get into the garbage, they're not sorry that they did it, they're just sorry they got caught. While dogs can understand up to 150 words and phrases, they're mostly going off just the sound of your voice. If you ever saw the TikTok video of that one guy talking to his dog and he's like, I fucking love you, and the dog's getting all sad, and then he goes to the dog and he's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you, and the dog's all happy, that proves it. Did you know that your birth order actually has a huge effect on your personality and who you become as a person? The youngest, the baby of the family, holds a special place in their parents' heart. And because of that, and the fact that their parents' attention is divided, they're able to get away with so much more than their older siblings ever could. Your parents have seen it all before, and studies have shown that your parents are more financially well off by the time they get to you, so they're less stressed, which makes you much more relaxed as a kid. The youngest sibling is very used to hand-me-downs and being compared to your older siblings by everybody, even your teachers, and because of this you try very hard to stand out and be your own person and be different than your older siblings. Every youngest sibling is heard because I'm older and smarter than you. Just wait your turn, I'm going first. You know mom and dad adopted you, right? Really weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. Your penis has rifling, that's why the stream twists. Girls who are born at altitude reach puberty a lot faster than girls born at sea level. In some cases of brain surgery, they peel your face forward like a banana peel.
Dream facts. So some people say that they don't dream at all, and that's just not possible. But up to 60% of people don't remember any of their dreams when they're asleep. In fact, most people have up to 7 dreams a night, depending on how many cycles of REM sleep they go through. Even blind people can dream. And did I mention that up to 12% of people don't dream in color? That means more than 1 out of 10 people only dream in black and white.
Psychology tricks on how to get your crush to like you back that I know work because I use them. If you're having a face-to-face conversation with your crush, make eye contact and smile. I'm telling you guys, I told you last time, smiling will change your life. It's going to show them that you're interested and listening to them, which is going to get you some points. This next one is super easy. Just ask them questions. Get your crush talking about themselves because everybody likes to talk about themselves. It's going to make them think that you actually want to know about them, which you should. You like them. Plus, it's going to make them feel more connected to you because they're opening up and sharing a part of themselves. Plus, if they ask questions back, this is a great sign that they're interested back, even if it's just a little bit. The bandwagon effect is a little bit more manipulative, but if you're desperate, it might work. So get a friend or two to mention in front of your crush how cool or attractive they think you are. Studies have shown that people will be more attracted to you if they think other people think you're attractive.
Psychology facts that are probably going to blow your mind. Anytime you think of any object, it's going to be in the canonical perspective. Think of anything. Think of a coffee cup, for example. Well, this is probably exactly how you imagined it. Normally, we'll picture something like that, and that's because it's our preferred way of viewing something. Even if it's the Empire State Building, which is so much taller than us and that we've never seen from that perspective, we'll still view in our heads from that perspective. You know when you're taking a test and you cross out the right answer and you mark down the wrong answer? Well, your unconscious usually always knows best, and it's your logical brain that tricks itself into thinking the other thing. There's been tons of studies and information found on this, and they always find every single time your unconscious or your inhibition knows a lot better than you actually trying to think through it because it leads to overthinking. This one's going to be really hard to hear. If you have a plan B, your plan A is so much less likely to succeed. Naturally, if your brain has something to fall back on and plan A is harder than plan B, you're probably going to give up on plan A and head straight for plan B. In life, it's best to have no backup plan if you really want to succeed in what you're doing. Psychology facts. Studies have found that people view you 20% more attractive than you view yourself. Relationships usually end in about 3 to 5 months because that's when the honeymoon stage ends and you realize that you guys don't actually love each other. Just simply looking at a picture of somebody you love relieves physical pain as well as mental stress. Naturally, women like men with deeper voices. Psychology tricks to get your crush to like you back. It's been proven people want to have what they can't have, and it's actually been proven playing hard to get works. So just don't be available all the time. Show them your dog. They literally did a study that found that women rated men walking dogs more attractive than the same exact men who weren't walking dogs. This one's gonna sound strange, but match their walking pace. It's been shown that people feel like there's a certain level of attraction between the two of them if they're walking at the same speed. And friends won't match each other's walking pace, but if they're more than friends, they always will. Alright, I'm gonna tell you how to read anybody's mind because I've read a shit ton of books about it. This is probably the most important thing to remember. Look at their hands. Whenever you're anxious or where you're uneasy, your hands will immediately look for something to do. This is why a lot of people will play with their thumbs or they'll touch something, and a lot of times nowadays they'll grab their phone when they feel uncomfortable. The first thing your body does when you're uncomfortable is your hands look for something to do. Watch their arms. If they cross their arms like this, it's more of a defensive thing. They could feel intimidated or they could just feel shy or out of place. Another really common arm gesture is when they do this. It's kind of a half-hug, self-soothing type thing. They could do it when they're in a new environment they're not used to or they're scared or anxious. A lot of people will hold their hands in front of their body like this, and it's a sign of confidence. Powerful leaders do this all the time. Hitler did it a lot. Facts about people with blue eyes. Only 8% of the world's population have blue eyes, so you're pretty lucky. Not only that, but after a survey conducted, they found that blue eyes are the most attractive eye color to have. Everyone with blue eyes also has one common ancestor that had a genetic mutation somewhere around the Black Sea. If you don't know where that is, it's kind of by Greece. Signs of a future serial killer. Now this is something called the McDonald triad, or the evil triad, or the homicidal triad. It's taught in psychology and criminology classes. The first one is wetting the bed when you're a little too old to be wetting the bed. The next is harming small animals, and they usually move on from small animals to people. And arson, or fire setting.